Everyone, hope everyone's doing well. Brother Tim, as always, thank you so much for the reminder this morning. And I stand before you, this big, ugly lump of clay. But I'm so glad that he is not finished with me or with us. So yes, I've been asked to present to you, give you some project updates and details. I have a lot in store for you. Please bear with me as I unpack this for you. I appreciate your patience and understanding. But I'm going to, as I told Brother Tim this week, I'm going to haul the mail. My grandfather used to always use that term to me to move things along. So without further ado, here I go. As you recall last week, whether you were here or tuning in online, you recall Tim introducing to us, explaining to us the need to finish strong, referring to this tool, this building, and how we've been so blessed beyond measure to not just use it, but worship in it, but also reach a community for his purpose through it. You may also recall Tim mentioning two things that I will remember forever and always throughout the years. Two things last forever: the Word of God and the souls of mankind. May that always be our focus. Okay, several years ago, we started this project of this tool, this building, and it was this tool that would be used for that focus. All right, so in the next several minutes, I'm going to haul the mail. I'm going to be providing you with some project overviews, summaries, status, next steps, and cost estimates for the 4 projects Tim gave to you last week. Just keep in mind, these projects were always on our overall plan. They're always part of what I would call a comprehensive plan. Okay? So just remember that as we go through this. This is not something these projects just came up and we wanted to add this to it. But they've always been there. And also remember that they're going to come into you in a prioritized order. Priority first to last. And that they've been reviewed and supported by our elders, okay? So those projects will be, number 1 will be the bridge loan. Number 2 will be the dedicated youth center downstairs. Number 3 will be the Carriage Porch entryway, if you will, to the main entrance to the west of our building. And the last one will be upgrading parking areas. So without further ado with that, Mitch is so kind to drive my presentation this morning. Next slide, please, Mitch. So, bridge loan. A lot going on here, and I apologize because you can't read this slide, but it's just how much is in this subject alone. All right, I need to provide you with a lot of information, background, even history. What is a bridge loan? How did this come about? How did our finances come to where they're at now? So, again, bear with me. Here we go. A bridge loan, if you can imagine, is simply like the illustration I have at the top, okay? It spans that financial gap that we needed to construct this wonderful tool, all right? It provided us the necessary cash flow to finish this to the point we are at now, all right? So I realize there are many of you here that weren't here years ago. You may have been here, you may have not recalled or remembered how we got this bridge loan or how our finances came to be. So that's okay. I'm gonna bring you up to speed real quick. And to do that, I need to go back to 2015, 2016. All right? We were at that time reaching out to 3 banks, 2 of which were local. We wanted to support local business. We were reaching out to these 3 banks, 2 of which were local, and they, I believe, genuinely were all sincere. They were all sincere. I believe that with all my heart. However, 2 of them, the local banks, unfortunately could not come through with financing our large project. I know they felt bad. I know they were, it was unfortunate for them. But they ended up needing to back out of offering us that large amount of funds that we needed to complete or go forward to start our project. So they rescinded their loan offers or their loan applications to us. That was a blow, frustrating, but we were steadfast. We had faith. We prayed. There was, as I mentioned, there were 3 banks. This other bank, Fulton Bank, okay? Fulton Bank was not really local, but they were somewhat local. They were in State College and in Bellefonte area. They were the ones that came through for us, and it was an answer to prayer. And I'll explain this really quickly. So if you can imagine, we had this big project, not a couple thousand, not a couple 100,000, but millions, okay? We needed to come up with the funds for this project. Fulton was incredible to come up and maximize what they could with a larger amount, a larger loan. I'm going to refer to it from here on. All right, just imagine this large amount of funds needed to do this project. However, that wasn't enough to cover what we needed. So what they did was, here's where another praise. They were able to get really creative with providing us the additional funds through this bridge loan. What did they do? How did they go about that? It's basically as simple as this. They were able to use our properties that we owned over in Castanea, the building. They were able to also, here's a really neat part that just today blows my mind. They were able to use pledge commitments from you, the body. Those 2 things, they were able to allow the loan applications to go through. They were able to use that as leverage and collateral, and the rest is history. We got the bridge loan. We got the large amount of funds. So what you see here in front of you then, off to the left-hand screen, is, and again, I apologize, but I can provide this to anybody who would like to see this in the future, is a summary of those funds and those amounts that were involved with the bridge loan. So up top, you would have saw an amount of $750,000, $750,000 just for the bridge loan. That was an amazing amount of money. However, good news, we did not need to use that. We only needed to use about $460,000 of that bridge loan. And that came through 3 disbursements, if you will. So since the beginning of this project, and when we started using those funds, that bridge loan fund, we then, through payments, and about exactly a year ago today, an incredible day of giving was offered here at the church, which we took in, I believe it was over $119,000 that day alone. And since that time, made additional payments to be down to a balance of $123,000 as of Friday. Thank you, Mr. Tom Stover of the Finance Committee. Appreciate a lot of help that has gone into this preparing and giving to you this morning, this update. So that's the amount we have as of Friday on that bridge loan. I need to explain a little bit more about this bridge loan and the larger loan for that matter. So let me go back to the summer when I was approached about assisting with the loans or taking over financing and so forth, or just helping with these 2 parts. We reached out to Fulton Bank. 2 questions, 2 things we had in mind. Number 1, would you be so kind to allow us to restructure and extend the larger and bridge loan? Why? Because they were coming due in October. As a matter of fact, they came due October 6th, last Wednesday. Bear with me. So back in July, we approached them about, will you be willing to restructure our larger loan for over $1.1 million? Give us a 5, 10, 15 year. What's your rates? In addition to that, would you be willing to extend our bridge loan just a couple months, say the end of December? And then, of course, as many of you know, what's involved with this loan? Are there going to be appraisals? Are there going to be major closing costs and fees? So throughout July, they got back to us and they said, Scott, I got good news for you. Another praise. Yes, we can give you 3 different types of loans or terms for that larger loan. In addition, we can give you a little bit of grace and extend that bridge loan until the end of December. Great, that's excellent. No appraisals. Wow, that's even wonderful. Maybe a documentation fee. of like $200 for each. That's what we were told. So throughout August, if you will, September, Scott's constantly back and forth with this representative of Fulton Bank, of which I've developed a great relationship with this individual. God works in mysterious ways, even when we allow him to. And, I know what's coming down the road. October 6th is fast approaching, and this is when these terms are both due. Constant dialogue. Hey, his name is Brian. Brian, we just got to be aware of these dates coming up. This date, we can't afford any penalties. We want to be up front, et cetera, et cetera. Brian was like, no problem, Scott. This is all text, phone call, So I'm like, I realize that. This is handy. I got documentation on a phone, but I don't have anything in writing. So 2 weeks ago, I step it up. I'm like, Brian, you got to get me something. Yep, we got a documentation almost ready. Who's your trustees? Who's going to be signing for this? Brother Gary, Brother Scott Weaver. You're be on the ready still because October 6th came and went. Well, right away, you're thinking, oh, we got trouble. We got this issue with this bridge loan. What's going to happen with our terms and so forth and going forward? There are going to be penalties. So as of Friday, late Friday afternoon, I finally got in touch with my brother in Fulton Bank, and I said, listen, you got to give me a bone here. You got to give me something. I'm going to go before a body and give an update. Is there anything you can provide to me that I could show to the body that we're good? We're good on no penalties, no fees, that it's in your court, you're having issues getting it reviewed by your attorneys, et cetera, and taking care of the other paperwork that you need to. Absolutely, Scott. Next slide, please, Mitch. So this is what he provided to me, of which I greatly was more at ease. I always had faith that this is going to be no problem. We're going to be all right. But highlight in the bold print there underlies, there will be no penalties. There will be no fees. That surprised me. I thought we're going to at least have documentation fees. So I wanted to assure you that, they're looking out for us. So trustee brothers, be on the ready. Hopefully this week we'll get this documentation signed once and for all for the larger loan, but also the bridge loan. And moving forward, then I just want to point out it's important that we take care of this bridge loan by the end of December. I was kind of hinted to by Mr. Fulton Bank that we may need to do an appraisal if we go beyond that. That could be extensive. That could be another costly thing. So we got an opportunity to take care of that here before the end of December. So that's the bridge loan. I know a lot in a condensed manner, but we're moving on. All right, next slide, please, Mitch. Second project being the dedicated youth center downstairs. So what you see is a plan view version of what we anticipate that to look like down there. Brother Scott Weaver, Deacon, thank you for giving me feedback and helping me through this project. He's the lead, I'll say project manager on this. A lot of other brothers are going to step it up and work here. This is a place we really need for our youth to call home. Yes, we have multi-purpose room. In my opinion, we have all these other areas, but this is another project, again, that was on our radar years and years ago. So it's a big area. It's not a small area. The area consists of 4,000 square feet. So when I come to the cost estimate, and it might be a little breath there taken, but just realize, remember what your size of your home is and what that value is, or a value is to construct that home. It's significant. So if you're talking 4,000 square foot home, yes, minus a shell, yes, minus a roof, yes, minus a lot of utilities, it's still a lot going on, all right? So, Mitch, next animation within the slide. Okay. I wanted to provide you this because maybe there's several here today that are thinking, why isn't this dedicated youth center moving along? Why isn't it picked up speed and got progress? Well, I'm going to refer to this little diagram for one reason. You all may know of, over the last several months, if you went to a building supply center, the major increase in building materials. I'm going to use a 2x4 from Lowe's as an example of that. Back in July, that 2x4 was roughly almost $13 a board. Since that time, it has dropped significantly to $3.48. Yes, perhaps not all building materials have done the same, but they're better than they were. Why I'm saying this is back in the winter, back in the spring, back even in the summer, we thought it was best, as being good stewards with what God has blessed us with, to quote unquote pump the brakes. Just hang tight. Let's just wait, see if these costs come down, then we will proceed. And it's looking like next month, and talking to Brother Scott Weaver again this morning, next month we're going to be able to get traction and get going on this. And throughout the winter, throughout even in this next spring, I'm confident we're going to put a dent in that dedicated youth center downstairs. So I wanted to just to give you the reasons as to why we're not going full bore downstairs, but it's going to happen. I'm confident of that. Next animation within the slide. Okay, the last is the total cost. Again, big area, $200,000. It is our hope. It is our hope that that cost can be less. There has also been a nice, awesome contribution of $46,000, $47,000 towards that. So the difference being then is what you see there before you of the need to complete that. To complete that will depend on the material cost. It'll depend on how much help we get from our body here. But at any rate, I'm confident that that will happen this year, and we'll be able to proceed with getting a dedicated youth center for our kids downstairs. Again, a place that Pastor Stewart can call their own. Next slide, please, Mitch. Okay, number 3. Carriage, porch, entry, portico. All of the fancy names you want to come up with. The entrance. The main entrance to the side. Maybe some of you are aware there were some other renditions, other conceptual designs that were considered for this entryway. This one, and next animation, Mitch, thank you. These are the ones that are now, we've come down, honed in, finalized. Craig Brady, Jay Simcox, thank you for your input on this as well. We are confident that this could also happen next year. I am, at least. I'll just say that. Use me. But I am confident, Lord willing, that'll take place next year. The other conceptual designs we had looked at were significantly more. But more importantly, I don't have them here to show you, but they didn't really aesthetically set into our existing building. These do. They're just your basic timber frame, post and beam, mortise and tendon structure that we all believe the body here, with the knowledge, skills, and abilities of many craftsmen within this body, can take on. So we're looking forward to this. Go ahead, Mitch. Next. The cost for this is significantly less than what we were told with these other conceptual designs. Up to $150,000 there could have been for this entryway. I don't believe that's the case. Others don't either that I've talked to and followed up with. We believe $75,000 should definitely cover this. More importantly, a generous designated gifts have been coming in for this as well, of over $56,000, I believe it is. And so the need for that, there's still a need, but it's hoped that we can make this happen next year. Much needs to be done. We need to get some engineering designs done yet to proceed with moving forward on this. Just stamps that it's going to withstand the wind loads, snow loads, etc. But that's on down the road. All right, next slide. Thank you, Mitch. All right, upgraded parking areas. This is also on the radar. This is also a significant cost, if you will, the overall cost. Thank you, Brother Jared Simcox, for helping me get these most recent updates as of this yesterday afternoon. Appreciate that. But what it looks like, this is just one rendition of how the parking could lay out. I know the deacons have done a great job in laying this out already, different parking arrangements. But you could have roughly 60-some parking spots on that side, the other side around 40-some when you add them all up. Anyhow, even on the top of the little plan view, potential parking where the stage is at, that we could park adjacently. More importantly, help when winter comes, because that gets really soft there. Next slide, please, or next animation, please. Total cost for this is $175,000. Lots going on out here. Some prep work needs to take place. Conduits, underground pipe that we might want to put across before we put pavement down to make sure electrical lines go to the fields or go across before we put paving down. Water lines are installed, etc. But it does involve a big chunk of paving, concrete for curbing, sidewalks, landscaping, etc. Again, it's a large chunk, but I think in time, as the Lord provides, doable down the road. Contribution already received for this, a designated gift of $30,000. So a need there of roughly $145,000 to do this work outside. And I feel confident where that estimate's at, but however, we don't know where these costs are going to go. Stone's up, paving's up, concrete's up. We all know that. But based on that, good cost estimate there. Next slide, please, Mitch. I throw this in just to show you two things. Number one, two areas circled in red. As it's been obviously noticed or seen, I think it would be my recommendation, our recommendation, if possibly, even though it's number 4, if we perhaps consider to do these two areas sooner rather than later for handicap parking areas. We have again, as some of you may have noticed, we have a real need to establish more really safe handicap parking areas. And these areas, I believe, could take care of that purpose right away, again, sooner rather than later, with the funds that already have been designated for that project. So I realize, but just coming up over the last several weeks here and days, and we've all noticed that when it rains and it's plowed, that gravel washes away. And just to stabilize that area, but to make more adequate safe parking, just something to consider moving forward, I think would be a great improvement. Next slide, please, Mitch. Okay, just as a quick summary, here are the total costs for these projects. Bridge loan, I'll just say $123,000. Dedicated youth center need, about $151,000. Carriage porch entry, let's say $19,000. Upgraded parking areas, $145,000. Totaling, yes, a large chunk, about $437,555. So that's a quick summary. I again thank you for being patient and bearing with me as I provided you this update. We're going to have an opportunity for question and answers here, but just a reminder: next Sunday, October 17th, our brother Eric Evans is going to provide us with a how-to, next steps, instructions on how the body can all participate in this unique opportunity. So that's all I had. Quick questions or any questions, and by all means, I know many of you are already been always willing to tap me on the shoulder, call me, email me. By all means, do so, if not today. Questions? And I got a lot of good individuals here, knowledgeable, that can help us with the questions and answers. And if there are none, that's fine, too. Nah. Okay, I'll go once, twice, 3 times. That's a wrap. All right. Thank you, everyone. I take it you're dismissed? Okay.